UNESCO, and welcome to the workshop on science diplomacy training, co-organised by the EU Science Diplomacy Alliance and UNESCO. So thank you very much everyone for joining us today, and thank you in particular to those who are joining us after the second or maybe even the third day. We're also very grateful to the EU Science Diplomacy Alliance and its partners for initiating this event and for the collaboration that's led us to the workshop here today. Now we've had here, and you'll know if you were here for the last few days, a really excellent and intensive past days of discussion about science diplomacy and the role it can play in creating the future we want. And perhaps for anyone who wasn't there, just very briefly, over these last couple of days, UNESCO hosted the Global Ministerial Dialogue on Science Diplomacy, which convened over 450 attendees in person and another 400 joining us online. And that included more than 20 ministers and then around 30, 40 high-level representatives from these countries. And the discussions were on themes of emerging technologies, open science, research security, science in time of crises, and shared natural and scientific resources. The participation and interest in the event really is a testimony to the substantial high-level interest in strengthening science diplomacy efforts, and has underscored, we can say, the great enthusiasm from diverse disciplines to elevate the potential of science diplomacy as a response to the rapidly changing times in which we live. In the context of these grand ambitions for science diplomacy, as the experts gathered here today in this workshop very well know, there's a growing need for versatile skills and critical capacities to enable diverse actors to navigate the science diplomacy arena. And UNESCO, as the United Nations agency dedicated to fostering international collaboration in sciences and thereby contributing to building peace, we can say UNESCO does have a lot to offer. Drawing on several decades of experience of science diplomacy practice, UNESCO is exploring new ways in which we can elevate science diplomacy itself, fostering an approach centred on sustainability, human rights and peace. And with the momentum generated, particularly over these last couple of days, and guided by the co-chair statement, which is an outcome of the meeting, which if you don't have and wish to have a copy, we'll put it online, but we can also provide copies if you wish to see it. This was the outcome co-chair's statement from the meeting yesterday. We really look forward to the opportunity provided by this workshop now to reflect and engage in a smaller group setting on some concrete actions for building capacities and developing the necessary training programs for navigating this complex interface of diplomacy and science. And UNESCO to us is of course already hard work in this regard, and we look forward to hearing later about the lessons learned from this widely respected science diplomacy training program in a later session today. And of course, as UNESCO, we also have a great deal to learn from the rich diversity of experiences that are represented here with us today. From diplomats and representatives of intergovernmental organisations to scientists and scholars of science diplomacy, we're very confident that the workshop's composition will really stimulate some thought-provoking, inspiring ideas and some practical steps for us to follow. So without further ado, I'd like to please pass over to our co-organisers. Please welcome Professor Pier Bruno Ruffini, the co-chair of the EU Science Diplomacy Alliance and representative of the Association of the Promotion of International Scientific and Technical Relations of France. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends. Yes, I'm here in my capacity as a co-chair of the European Union Science Diplomacy Alliance. And for those who do not know us, let me say briefly that the Alliance is the collaborative initiative which is grounded on the results of three H 2020 research projects which have been carried in recent years. Our Alliance is a network of about 40 institutions which are involved in a way or another in reflection and action about science diplomacy. One of our members is AVRIST, which I also represent here. AVRIST is a French association for the promotion of international scientific and technical relations, which brings together individuals who serve or have served as science counselor or science attaché at French embassies, and more generally other professionals who have an interest in international relations from the perspective of science, technology, and innovation. Our workshop today is held here at UNESCO. We have prepared it with UNESCO in close cooperation, and it is UNESCO that I would like to thank first. Thank you very much, Mr. Ezra Clark, for your kind words. Thank you for hosting this workshop today, and thank you for the facilities that you have given us to organize it. My special thanks go to Madame Anna Persich, Program Specialist at UNESCO's Science, Technology, Innovation Policy section. When we came to you several months ago, Anna, with this idea of having this workshop on science diplomacy training, you immediately agreed. And you suggested to organize the meeting in the wake of those 2 days of meetings here in UNESCO that were to be held in March. And this allows us to take advantage of this gathering of key players here to enrich the dialogue in that way. So this was a great proposal of yours, great idea, and here we are today. Thank you very much, Anna. Would like to thank also the European Commission. Many thanks in particular to Jan-Marco Muller from the DG Research and Innovation for the support that the Commission gives in organizing this meeting today. And more generally, for the support that Jan-Marco Muller gives through his constant encouragement to the activities of our young lions. Jan-Marco will be with us later on this afternoon. Last but not least, I would like to extend my thanks to those who worked hard in organizing this workshop. Charlotte Rungius, she's somewhere there, okay, and Daniela Palmberg, and also the technical staff here. So what is it about today? Interest in science diplomacy is now widely shared, as was evidenced these last 2 days from the discussion we had at UNESCO. And among the very many questions that arise when we think and talk about science diplomacy, one is capacity building and especially training. And this is where our workshop comes in. Today, we will put on the table all the different questions that arise when we think about training in science diplomacy. And our wish is to try to translate the insights and commitments from the high-level discussion that took place this last day here, to translate that into practical action related to capacity building and training. For this, let me distinguish 2 categories of actors. First, there are individuals who are not science diplomats, but who, nevertheless, need to understand what science diplomacy means. This is the case for scientists and researchers who need to understand the relationship between research activity and diplomatic interests, and even more so when they are providers of scientific expertise. This is the case also for career diplomats who are generalists, but who will meet science diplomacy issues at some point during their professional life. And then, second category, there are individuals who are science diplomats in the sense that their daily activity is at the interface between science and diplomacy. It is not easy to define what is a science diplomat, and there is no professional identity named as such, but examples are chief scientist advisors to ministers of foreign affairs, science attaché at embassies, and all those who are directly in charge of science and technology files and issues in international organizations and who deal with the governance of global challenges. So why and how to train these different populations? What about training in science diplomacy? And what about training of science diplomats? This is what we will discuss today, and our workshop will be organized in 4 stages. We will start from the demand side with the following questions. What are the training needs of key actors? What are the target audiences? Then we will turn to the supply side. Who are the providers of training activities? which topics, which methods have attracted most interest and why. In the third session this afternoon, we will dive deeper and reflect on what has worked well in science diplomacy training and what are the gaps and possible improvements in training offers. And finally, we will wrap up ideas and arguments, training to answer this question: what are the essential elements of a sound diplomacy competency framework? Developing such a tool is one of the recommendations of the European Framework for Sound Diplomacy, which was recently published by the European Commission. But everyone understands that the competency framework topic has no geographical limitation and is of general interest. I will stop there. I will stop and thanking all of you, moderators, speakers, participants in the room, participants online, for your active contribution to our discussions today. Thank you.